Welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, and I've got a tea today. It's a black tea, and I haven't been doing a lot of black teas lately. Actually, if you've noticed in the past, say, month or so, the number of green teas has also dropped quite a bit. And a lot of that is because, one, either green teas are sold out and people are waiting for their new stock, or some of the tea providers are more hesitant to provide a green tea at this point in the season because they're not as fresh, and it may not be the optimal time. If a green tea is a good tea that's been kept well, this also means it can be a great time to find some deals on those good teas to keep an eye out. So you want to go back and look at some previous reviews, perhaps earlier from the 2010 season, and then go back and follow up to see what teas from what companies are still available and what kind of sales are available as well. Now, what you just saw me do was use a tasting cup here, and I filled in enough of this. This is an Assam, an Indian Assam black tea. And I put in enough to cover the bottom surface. You can't see the bottom surface of my cup here. I believe this is about a 4 ounce, 3.5, 4 ounce volume is what this holds. And I'm going to pour in enough water so that it comes just below my little notch there, which is going to be my pouring, kind of my spout, I guess you would say. So let me get this out of the way. And I'm going to cover this. I'm going to put my lid on with the hole over here towards the handle so that now it's ready to go. I just pick it up and I'm going to pour it out in a minute. While that's steeping though, I want to introduce this tea. This is from Sky Tea. This is their GoldenAssam. It says it is an organic, although there is no information on the label or the website itself to indicate that this is a certified organic. Oftentimes, organic is used in situations like this to mean organic techniques were used in its growth and cultivation, but it does not necessarily qualify or has been certified yet as organic by, say, the USDA. Now, you can find 2 ounces available for $11. This is from the Mangalam estate in Assam, so this is an Indian tea, northern India. Let's go ahead and open this up and get out a little bit of tea. Talk a little bit about the dry leaf as well. First off, as far as aromas go, it has a lot of the traditional, you could say typical Assam type smells. It's got a little bit of it's kind of like a combination between a peach and molasses. It's sweet. It's got a kind of a fruity aspect to it. It's got some kind of, like the heat, when you draw out molasses and process it, there's a heat note there. Just that it's like a sugared that's been closer to caramelized kind of smell. Okay, looking at this leaf, this is more of an orthodox. It's not a CTC. This is leaf portions. They're a nice seal brown, or an ochre, so it's got a brownish gray type color, grayish brown. You do see, I should say the pieces are wiry in general. They are 3/4 of an inch or less. A lot of them are 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, somewhere in between there. They are wrapped along the middle vein of the leaf, so they become kind of crinkled and squeezed along the vein of the leaf there. You do see golden colored pieces here and there. They are fuzzy, so you do have some tip in here, golden tips, fuzzy tips there as well. And as far as percentage wise, just at a glance here, I would guess 5 to 15%, if I had to put a number on it, was that golden tippy aspect. Okay, so that's a brief introduction to our dry leaf here. Let's go ahead. We should have had enough. That's enough steep time there. Now, if we're using a tastier set, which is handy if you do a lot of tasting and choosing of teas and you want to have kind of a consistent, uniform process to taste the way some of the pros taste. Actually, I'm going to put this towel out, but you line it up just like I'm doing here. It comes as a set with the bowl and the cup for preparing. And so you're going to turn this over just like so. You can rest it there. If you're quick, if the cup is not too hot, you can take it in one hand and flip it over pretty quickly. I'm going to turn it over just a little bit more, get those last few drops to come out. Hold the lid in place there. Of course, it pours a lot smoother if your hole for the air is near the top, so the air flows in as the tea flows out the spout there. Let me set that over to the side. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pour this ahead now, just so that we can all see the liquor together. There it is. And while that's doing that, let's take a look at the wet leaf. Again, I'm getting some of that kind of peachy smell combined with some grape smells, some red glow grape. There's some grape skin. There's just something grapey grape about this, but sweet as well. So it's got a little bit of the tannin type aspect, that kind of a little bit of a kind of a tart, potentially tart. Something about the grape skin just evokes this kind of, oh, this smells tart about it. Yet at the same time, it does have some of the honeyed sweetness about it as well. Okay, not a lot to look at as far as the leaves go, but I will turn it over. Just take a glance at it. Most of the leaf portions have loosened up, flattened out to a large extent. Fairly consistent in color now, more of a consistent rust type of color. Not a whole lot to see. You do see or can detect as it's unfurl, as the leaf portions have unfurled. You do see several twig portions here and there, or very basic stem portions here and there, which are either part of the twin branch coming out of that bottom of that leaf, or occasionally thicker middle vein of the leaf there. But that's really about it for the wet leaf. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the liquor now. I like the color. I mean, this is more of a deeper reddish, almost even moving over towards a purple. There's something kind of port wine about this. There's a nice richness there. Not completely see-through, and because it's good and dark and hefty. Still some of the peach, or I should say, yeah, kind of peachy, plummy smell coming out now. There's a bit more of a blander smell coming out. Can't quite put my finger on it yet. But as it comes to me, I'll mention that again. I'll try to mention that again. Looking through this liquor here, it's got a good evenness to it. I mean, even down in the bowl, there's not any parts that look really dull or flat. As the light comes through and shows, it creates a little bit of shadow here and there, but still nice, consistent color as you look down through. You can see the oils floating on the top now as it's cooled off a little bit. Now, it does have some astringent. It's got some bite to it, and that's what you expect from a lot of Assams. It's not overly heavy. There's an astringency that kind of sits on your tongue, which this one has, and there's also a kind of astringency that comes tart and bitter that rests towards the back and under the tongue that kind of has that alum effect that just makes your mouth want to pucker. And this one is less of the puckery, with still having that astringent aspect to it. There is something with some teas like this that is kind of a wintergreen, a menthol. There's something that's bismuth even, just a little cooling, a little minty type, that to me can be overly harsh, overly intense. This one has a cooling feeling and a hint of that mintiness as its mid palate, say. But then as you swallow and finish, it doesn't swell up and rise and just become overly stated, overly pronounced. So this one, and it actually drops off, and when it leaves is a bit more of that kind of having eaten, you've chewed on the grape, and then you swallowed the meat of the grape, and you're left with the grape skin, and you're chewing on that. That's got a little bit of tartness to it, and you finish that. And with that grape skin, the aftertaste of that grape skin, you get a little bit of that astringency. You get a little bit of a kind of a tart type of feel in the mouth as well. And that's what you're getting with this tea. You're getting a little bit of that tartness, a little bit of that astringency. This is the kind of tea that was developed to go with milk and sugar. And so in that sense, it's built right for that purpose. As far as this, now, as this cools, it does get a little bit more of that peachy note and that obscure kind of bland, bleached out kind of processed. I don't know. It's almost like particle board. There's something that's kind of bland, neutral, bleached about, cleaned off process that was initially in the liquor. It's now faded and it's got more of that kind of a peachy type smell, fresh peach type tart to it. So looking at this tea as a whole, I would give this tea an 86. It's got some fairly balanced characteristics as far as the astringency, the bitter, like I said, not a lot of bitterness. That menthol type of component isn't overstated and doesn't overpower it. Just kind of flirts with you a little bit and then runs away pretty quickly. So that's why I give it an 86. It's something that you'd want to try out for yourself with the proper amount of milk and sugar for your morning cup. So come back to Walker Tea Review. We're talking about morning cups, evening cups, and all those in between.